Hello, my fellow schizotypals. What up, Dome? Welcome back to Highlight with Karhlyle Fletcher. Did you hear that noise? But, um, yeah, we're back. Welcome to the Wednesday episode. Today we're gonna get into just some general stuff. God, I always fuck that up. But bang, nope. This one, bang, bang. There we go. So I just want to shout out Dr. David Castle again. I'm gonna reach out to him, but like a lot of his stuff's very fascinating. I'm gonna see if I can get it available. But let's see. Not available. So what is available? Very interesting. And he's done like work on schizophrenia and things like that. But what he also did was personality disorders and the mental representations of early social experience. And like what he found here was that what this group of researchers found here was that there was groups of people with different mental disorders, and they had different experiences growing up, which would so. We reported on an investigation of this issue which focused on the formal qualities of accounts of childhood offered by adults who were drawn into two contrasting clinical groups, borderline personality disorder and dysthymia. The results lend support to the claims made by attachment theory and the object's relation to the school of psychoanalysis that, at least in certain groups of individuals, adults' modes of representing early experience are intimately related to styles of interpersonal functioning. So I also think that this explains astrology, because it's like I feel like there are at least 12 personalities that keep repeating throughout time, and I do think that it's like who your siblings are and who your fathers are and who your mothers are and things like that. I mean, damn. More specifically, the form of interpersonal pathology characteristics of BPD may be associated with enmeshed and unresolved patterns of responding to the adult attachment interview, and with reports of low maternal care and high maternal overprotection on the parental bonding instrument. So that's fucked up. But I just wanted to bring that up because it's like I think that he does excellent research to really address the causes and reality behind mental illness rather than just relying on a scapegoat answer to work around having to really address it. And so like as a holistic advocate, I think that David Castle and the people that he works with are doing incredible work on this stuff. Because yeah, it makes sense. Like, it's like, is it a chemical? Is it something that's wrong in somebody's brain? Or is it because like they weren't given proper attention, resources, time, and love as a child? As most Americans and most people, I don't know about most people, but I'd say most Americans aren't. And it's like, yeah, it's like, yeah, my mom wouldn't let me go outside the house, but she never really talked to me. She was just watching the TV or drinking wine. And it's like, yeah, no shit. Like, that's going to lead you to not have developed the necessary social skills for things like that. And that's where I think I have a huge advocacy for YouTube as a place to have these conversations that you're supposed to have with your family and your friends that you're not having. And I understand that that's parasocial, but the thing about it is that if we're not going to have a social life, we might as well have a parasocial life. And the reason why I bring this up is that it's like these tools have to be spread and normalized. And I do understand that there's psychologists who do this, but like part of the reason why I dropped out of school is that I think that having a degree would have been really damning for me, honestly, as an artist. I think that people, my fan base, the people that I want to reach, would think I'm less cool and less credible if I had a degree. And so like for me, it's like I'm trying to reach people as a peer because like, it's like I have not had a professional training. I have not been given my education from anybody higher up. There's no systematic thought here. There's just me, the people I live with, the things I support, where it's like I fucking love independent music. I think weed's a better option than chemicals. And, I like classic literature. So, it's like those are the things that I think are good. But past that, I'm just a guy. And like that's where it's like I think it's important as just people, as just, fellow members of the same species. We discuss this sort of stuff and discuss alternative options. And if that sounds like stuff you're interested in, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, to Highlight. We are your cannabis science classic literature, independent music, and urban planning source. Your source for that news. But anyways, yeah, please. Moving on. So we're also going to be covering Pissarro, and we're going to go back to the Bruycker, and probably just end up with DROUGHTS because, you know, they're fucking awesome, and why not put them on? But, so here's another thing coming out, that is, cannabis medical use and related policy reflections on society. Cannabis is one of the important food and textile resources that has been used since 4000 BC. The fact that it was used as a medicine by the Chinese caused it to be included in the oldest pharmacopoeia in the world. However, in the 20th century, marijuana production from cannabis was a turning point in cannabis history and then led to the limitation of cultivation areas and use. Today, cannabis is the most popular illicit drug worldwide. Regular use of cannabis is associated with impaired functioning, decreased academic performance, amotivation, addiction, and psychiatric disorders like psychosis, schizophrenia, and mood disorders. On the other hand, recent research proposed promising therapeutic potential of cannabis-based drugs for a wide-ranging of medical conditions, including neurological and psychiatric disorders. These findings have led to the legalization of medical use in cannabis in certain states of the United States and certain European countries. And this is a review on what's up with that. So we'll see what they come up with it. But yeah, it has been linked with these things. But again, like, I just think it's so interesting that, I mean, yeah, it is associated, but I just think it's interesting that the implicit thing that they're saying there is just, it's a negative bias. And I mean, I understand that, yeah, it's probably going to be arguable that I have a positive bias. No shit. I'm not dead. My mother is. And it's from withdrawal. You know, my brother stole my pot. Nothing happened. My brother stole my Xanax, which my mother got him addicted to. And she died. So, you know, it's like, yeah, I got a positive bias. I'm still fucking here. And then it's like the idea, well, it's like the only real possible, like, I will not listen to people who say stop smoking pot and take these pills instead. If you're going to say don't smoke pot and don't take pills and God made you the way that you should be, whatever, dude. Okay, fine. That's coherent. That is a coherent belief. Also, this is a Cowboy Bebop shirt. Yeah. Represent. Cowboy Bebop. But yeah, you know, so it's like, if you're saying don't do anything, okay, but also don't drink tea or coffee, you know, because everything is a drug. Don't eat sugar. Sugar is more addictive than cocaine. All of these things, you know, so it's like, I don't really see where weed is just so different. It's a plant like anything the fuck else. So at least just treat it ethically, consistently, and if you're saying don't take any substances, all right, word. If you're saying don't smoke weed, but do take fucking benzos, come again? No. So, and here we have exploring the use of cannabis as a substitute for prescription drugs and a convenience sample. So the use of cannabis as medicine, both prescribed and non-prescribed, has increased markedly in the last decade, mirrored in a global shift in cannabis policy towards a more permissive stance. There's some evidence that cannabis functions as a substitute for prescription drugs, particularly opioids. However, more knowledge is needed on the motives of substitution users, their patterns of use, and perceived effects on substitution use. To explore who substitutes prescription drugs with cannabis, the types of prescription drugs substituted, and the types of cannabis used, and the impacts of the substitute, yada, yada, yada. They did it. They had 2,841 people respond. And it was pain medications and things like that. What I found really interesting is that 38.1% of the respondents reported termination of prescription drug use and a 45.9% substantial decrease in prescription drug use. So it was mostly CBD oil and then hat, pot, or skunk. But let's just Control F. Let's just see if we got some. Here we go. No, so they don't have direct quotes, but I do love it when they include direct quotes because that shit's fire. I just love hearing people. But yeah, no. So I'm not seeing a direct quote from them people. So cycle of vacuums. Okay. So the fact that tramadol was the most common type of prescription drug substituted in our study may be partly explained by the prevalent use of tramadol in treatment of non-malignant pain in Denmark. However, it may also be related to the decision by the Danish Medicines Agency to surveil prescription patterns of tramadol among physicians in September 2017 following a rise in tramadol use and growing concern among clinicians regarding the abuse potential of tramadol. It is likely that this decision to reduce access to prescribed tramadol for some patients who subsequently turned to cannabis as medicine in order to treat their pain condition. In fact, the number of tramadol users Denmark decreased for the first time since 2008 and 2017 and continued to decrease from 2017 to 2018. 23% reduction. Indeed, problematizing reducing opioid prescription leaves a vacuum that may motivate some patients to seek other therapies such as CAM. Interestingly, the increased use of tramadol in Denmark earlier occurred as a consequence of another vacuum in the management of non-malignant pain. So yeah, it's like when people don't give people things, basically. I mean, it's like prohibition. When you give people prohibition, they're gonna fucking freak out, you know? So it is an opiate. It's an opiate. So yeah, I mean, God, yeah, if people are gonna be out smoking weed instead of opiates, yes, dude. I don't understand any logical person that you put that information in front of and they're like, this is a difficult thing to figure out. Yeah, so, I don't know, man. It is just, it's wild. So, not really much direct information for you. Like, we're not going through a science fun fact, but we should soon. Let's see if we can get a science fun fact for Friday. Because, yeah, I do think that a lot of the work here is to normalize things, like how talking about, like, normalizing testosterone, you know, where it's just like, yeah, maybe every single boy ever that's ever been in school has a attention disorder, or maybe you're just not understanding how they express. It's like, oh my God, they're disruptive, and they do all these things, and it's like, yeah, you ever been one? So, I think that the same thing goes with, like, because it's like when you see these negative patterns that are set up by parents, as Castle's research was talking about. There's this thing where it's like people get these negative things that are just locked into their brain because of how they were taught. And so then it's like I feel like discussing these things and talking about it then can lead to actually working out of it. Because, like, yeah, I mean, I knew that about BPD, but I didn't know how to exactly put it, where it's like, yeah, your mother's incredibly overprotective and controlling, but she's not, you don't feel like she cares about you. You know, because it's like, I do know a lot of people who struggle with that, who feel like that is the case, where it's like they feel very attached to their family, but they don't feel very attached to their family, you know? And then it's like, I feel like if you can address that issue, then it's like, all right, so can we, like, start, if it doesn't work with your family, because it might be your family's fault, it might not be your fault. That's where I think that psychology should draw a firm line in the sand. And if you can't attach to that person, and if you can't bond to that person, let's try to build attachment in your life otherwise. Let's try to make security. And I think that would be the best step forward. And this isn't a prescription for a pill, but it is advice. And I'm not a licensed professional, but I think it is good advice for anybody, really, but especially people with BPD, is just try to build secure attachment. If you're friends with somebody who has BPD, and you might be past the point of no return, but I'd say the best thing you can do as somebody who's friends with somebody with BPD is not fuck them. If you can just remain their friend and just be kind to them and just, like, distant and just, like, show to them that there is, like, a level of friendship that has nothing to do with a interaction or an exchange, then I think that that's helpful. Because, yeah, I think that most of them just have a relationship with sex where it's like, if you're engaged in that, you can't really move forward. So that'd be my recommendation. But yeah, I think that having conversations about this as people who aren't professional brings it down to a more manageable and relatable level that actually allows people to make use of strategy. You know, it makes use of the things that could be helpful in protecting themselves and having healthy relationships with these people and helping them move forward in their lives. Anyways, I wanted to bring up Camille Pissarro. This is his work because I think that, so there's the Impressionist, you know, there's Monet, and etc. Again, as I've discussed, I'm a big Sisley fan, but Pissarro's work is essentially pre-Impressionist. where stylistically it's very classical, but he's like a brilliant lightsmith. And I wanted to bring out his nature shot because I don't really feature a lot of nature on my channel. It's not really my aesthetic, but here's nature, you know. And then here's the town, you know, where it's like, yeah, this looks like nature. That looks like a little church or a little schoolhouse, probably for that. And then back there is like, you know, you're starting to see a city in the distance. So it's like the town isn't like in fuck off nowhere. The town is like right outside. And then here's the city where you can just see it like as a natural continuation of itself. What I think is like really cool about Pissarro and a lot of the Impressionists is they essentially did start working with minimalism, where it's like the least amount of information to give the most amount of data, you know, because like that doesn't exactly look like a man, but it does read as a man, especially from far away, you know. So it's like this manipulation of shape and expectation, where it's like after studying this for years, you can start to read it easily, but like to the untrained eye, it does kind of just look globby. And I'd say postmodernism definitely hits that harder. It's even harder for the average untrained person to get into it, but I think here there's a strong enough foundation where you can easily walk somebody who's unfamiliar with painting into the world of experimentation and technique. And it's not all thick, you know. Parts of it do come out smooth, and there's also just like this, like again, like the amount of information you're getting is it's very tactical, almost feels almost like a puzzle, like an assembly of light. And I feel like cubism, at least to my understanding, at least the way that I would say it, because again, I'm untrained in art as well. I would say the only training I have is in classic literature, and that's through being an idiot swan. But in terms of art history, the way I would understand it is that you got like the Impressionist era, which then leads into the Cubist era, and Impressionism is breaking down light and really studying that and the effect of light and atmosphere and time on a subject, and how the subject changes within the atmosphere and how that affects it. And then Cubism is about the perspective, so it's about how the object changes from different points in space. So you have light and then you have space. And here I think it's very, where you see this beginning of this journey into light, you can still see like this reeks of the classic form. This reeks of drawing. This is a man who knows how to draw very well. You can probably I probably should have just pulled that up if I'm going to make that point. But, so let's just, what would be the one that probably reveals the best? I mean, even the cow would reveal, yeah, but I think this will be simple enough to just stare at. So you can see here that it is like, he understands perspective, he understands line, he understands shape, he understands how to, he understands how to draw, he understands how to render the world. And there's none of that. There's no covering up a lack of understanding with this technique. All of this technique is built off understanding. Underneath all of this, you can still recognize the sketch work, and you can still see the architecture behind it. And I think that once you can combine those two, once you can combine the architecture of the drawing and the life and spacing of the paint, then you can really start to see impressionistic painting. And then you'll really just be able to, like, whether it's Monet, Renoir, Sisley, who's that fucking other guy? I don't care. But, all of them. Like, it's like, I feel like if you start here and you start to, if that stuff's, like, cool but doesn't really set in with you, I think if you start here, you can really see that sort of, you can see that sort of philosophy build, which I think is useful in starting to understand why it's there and like where it came out of. The thing that I really appreciate about the beginning of Impressionism and what I would say are grounded expressionists is that they can draw. Because like if you look at the detail in here, it's like, oh, this is just a glob of paint. It's like, okay, but you can also clearly see this level of depth as a street, and then you can see this as you know, another level. You can see this is another level. And you can see this level continue there. So, like, you can read this as that, and then you can read that as that. You can read that there. You know, it's like there's the drawing is underneath still. There's still an obvious creation, and then it's like, so with all of that information, the painting is then this thing itself, which gives it a texture that makes sense in different ways. Because like this, I feel like you don't even really, it doesn't hit you that it's somewhat abstract. But obviously, if you go close, you're like, the fuck? You know, like, it makes sense, but it just seems like it seems too much. You know, so it's like it is meant to like be moved with, you know? And I don't really know if I can do that. I can do that in Photoshop. I don't know if I can really do that on OBS itself. So, I mean, we could open that up later. But, yeah. So I think that clears that up. We're going to go back to Bruycker now, because I feel like these represent Pissarro as nature, structure, you know, like that in between of including nature and the urban, and then the urban. I'm going to give a shout out to Monster Brains, because they are a wonderful art blog, and they just collect a lot of people who I would think most people haven't really been familiar with. Like, I love this piece, you know. And the reason why I bring that up is just because they also are fans of Jules Bruycker. Bruycker, I don't know. Nobody said it to me in real life, so correct me if I'm fucking it up. But here's his urban scenes, you know? And this is Ghent, but you see like that similar architecture where it's like these, you know, row houses, these brownstones or whatever you want to call them, and like this very dense urbanization. And then you see like this flood of information. You got like this sort of like, you know, carriage scene with all of these skulls, probably meant to represent some sort of upper class thing. You've got these figures that feel like very familial and old, like grandparents that are like paraded almost like a float, you know. And then you've got like this like you got a butt trumpeting, I think, and then you've got like this bro just hanging the fuck out. You got this guy with a goddamn pig nose, but it's like a fucking pig or like a what are them guns? The blunderbussy, but like whatever. You got these people hanging out up here. You know, it's like there's just so much information that it does feel like it's like you feel like you're in a city. And you got hell. You got hell in the background. Like it's like this is like Bosch, but like Bosch on a subway. You know, like it's just so much more. You know, this was before World War One. I'm pretty sure. I forget the date on this. What do we got for the date? So that's 1922. So this is, I think, after or during. But still, it's like there's this feeling of like, you know, being. This feels like acid, bro. This feel like it does. It feels absolutely psychedelic and insane. And he's also got like this, which is a much more sober scene, but still it has that like, you know, sense of being fully occupied. Like you've got, you know, the butcher over here with the what I assume to be chickens. You got the people buying that shit. You got like a witch here with her wares. Probably just like an old lady, but still, you know, you got Jesus on the cross. You got Adam and Eve. You got this stuff. You got the painter with like a sign that looks like a kick me. You also got this like preacher over in the corner, like this man. Yeah, you got this preacher dude hanging out. And yeah, like there's just a lot of information, you know. And it's like I really like. So I mean, I wonder if any of my drawings would be okay to share on the YouTubes. But yeah, like for me, it's like when I draw in this very collage style where like I just try to get things very densely interwoven. And that's where I see these, what I would call natural, are truly urban scenes in painting, or in cinematography, or whatever, are in these like, you know, there's so much information here that you could paint anything, and also you can look into any part of the painting and see these different aspects. At the same time, this guy also didn't need the city, and he released bangers like this. which is like essentially an anti-war piece, where it's just like, you know, here's your Christ, here's your guy, that's what happens, and then there's death, which is the war, and it just, everybody dies, bro. Like, there's nothing positive to it. I'm assuming this is like a devil, you know, and they're like, you know, migrating to death. I mean, yeah, like, even without the city, this man created these really, I don't know if it's dense. I don't know if this is exactly a dense landscape, but just so tangibly surreal. Like, animation doesn't have shit on this. Like, the people who are imagining the shows today just don't have nearly the same stopping power that this work shows. This one's just insane. This one is just insane. I can't really top it. It's just fucking. Oof. Also, I have shown Wrath of Non, the city, and he's giving me feedback. So we're gonna try to make it. We're gonna try to make it good. I'm stealing at this point, so we gotta let's go to the website that they used, because that's the Jules de Bruycker one. Interwebsite collection. No. Home. No. Are you sure it's not collection? Consult the collection. Nice. Watercolors. Nice. What's on the 8th? I think we already did that. What's on the 27th? We got these people. Oh, look, it's a little city. Oh, look, it's a little city. And these people look funny, too. Oh, shit. That one actually looks kind of cool. And this one also looked kind of cool. So, like, yeah, I mean, like, dude, you're telling me, like, this is 100 years ago. How has art evolved at all? This is like Shin-Chan, bro. Like, this is where it's so funny, because I feel like people don't understand that cartoons comes from the term that painters used to use to just, like, sketch out their ideas. And this is probably a book illustration, I'm guessing. This one might also be an illustration. This one really feels like an illustration, because I know he did do book illustration, which might also be why I have a soft spot for the motherfucker. This feels very honest. This feels very, you know, literal. It feels like it just comes out. Like, I wish I could fucking see that. You know, I don't want to see the sky. I want to see, just something. Oh, man, that color is fucking gorgeous. Like, it's like this. Rembrandt always is credited for having perfect browns, but like here, it's just like it feels like it's glowing, and it's the most boring thing I've seen, but it just feels so calming and settling. You know, like the place, the scale, all of that just hits so well in that shit. This looks demonic. He did a modern year. He did a current year post. My man did a current year. He just said anno. His architecture, though. Jesus. I want to, yeah. I got to figure out how these roofs fucking work in my Minecraft world, because I love this shit. This one I feel like I could just use as like a background for like just hanging out on like a stream or something. These are all, yeah. And also what I love about them is that these people don't look amazing. Like, you know, those are some fucking ugly kids. It's an ugly woman. I'm sure if there's a man, he didn't look so good neither. You know? And it's like, he also does do some beautiful people. So, like, he does some of my favorite portraits. But he also is fine with this vernacular style that doesn't idealize. It's like the city's idealized, but the humans aren't. Which I think is interesting. I mean, actually, that's not true, because the buildings aren't idealized either. You know, like, they are kind of haunting. They're as much as the humans are either haunting or charming, the buildings also flip between haunting and charming. I guess those are. It just kind of depends on his mood. Like here, these people, and there's no conflict. They don't look as charming. So like, I'm pretty sure this is the same shot or the same comp. It's very similar. No, that is the same view from different portions of the same view. Is this one the same too? Damn. Nope. But he liked that angle. So yeah, I'd say like this, yeah, the glow kind of sells it, but like here, that glow is gone, and it just looks kind of worn down and hideous. But still, you know, there is like, I love it. I feel much more comfortable in this sort of, you know, like aesthetic than I do in like what, a Beavis and Butthead or like a SpongeBob. You know, I relate to these more than I relate to the abstracted, worn down visages of people in our cartoons. Like this man, these are not pretty men. This is a woman, but these are not pretty men, you know? So, I don't know, you know, it's like, it's not about the idealized human form, it's about this sort of, I feel like all these people are a visage of emotion. They're all cartoons. And yeah, we can all relate to the different feelings. And I really like that it's like these, you know, I don't know how to explain it further, but I do think that he's incredibly underrated in the States. Just because he's such a competent artist. And I guess that's where I'm also going with Pissarro, is that this is utterly competent. And I think that there's no downside to rewarding talent, you know? So that's that's my recommendation with that. And with traditional urbanism, I really don't know any counter arguments, because I've had to fight tooth and nail to feel like I've had cultural experience in my life. Whether that be just talking to strangers, or that be, you know, studying people incredibly foreign to myself, I've always put in a lot of effort and work into feeling like I can establish that bond with culture. But for people who feel isolated and like they can't access that, I mean, a lot of that's like, simply look at the infrastructure around you. You know, it's like, for somebody like me, as long as there's a bus, I'll try taking it. You know, it might not be the smartest thing, but still, nothing bad's happened so far. And it's a risk that I, as a 6'2" man, feel like I can run, you know? But at the same time, it's like, if you don't have the privilege of that security, of being like a relatively intimidating larger figure, yeah, I can understand why you wouldn't have the ability to just reach out to people that way. You know, it's like, it's much scarier in that position. But that's where it's like, if you have a city built around humans socializing rather than humans passing through, then you'll just have the opportunity to do that without having to have the ability to break in with people or start a conversation or anything to that extent. So I think that that is something that people don't really understand, because it's like this weird thing where it is, you know, there's nature and nurture. And there's like people that I grew up alongside that just don't have the same, like, you know, they never saw the world the way I saw the world. They were never able to break into it the way that I was able to break into it. And the difference isn't exposure to things, because we were exposed to relatively the same things. I just chose to continue, like, I was exposed by choice to different things because I elected to do so. And I think, you know, like, to me, I see it as a personal responsibility thing. I think that you should, it's kind of your job to go out there and negotiate with the world and see what it wants from you and see what you want from it. But I understand that you can't expect that from everybody, because a lot of people are just a little bit timid, or they're a little bit, you know, like, they don't have like much of a negotiation instinct, you know? And like, I can't really hate, like, I'm missing some instincts myself. Can't really, like, you know, give a shit. I try. I give as much of a fuck as I can, but it is difficult. So with other people who lack that, whatever, man. I kind of did just forget my point as I was rolling, so. Oh, shouldn't talk like that. But I'm also thinking about how fucking hot it is in this room. But, oh yeah, the point was that, like, even with the same exposure to the same stimuli, there is just a difference in how you choose to handle situations. And I think that it is, like, it's up to you to do two things, and it's up to you to have high openness to experience and openness to outsiders, and it's also up to you to have a compass. So it's like you have to be able to accept other people who are different than you and understand that differences aren't bad at all. There is nothing wrong with somebody who's different than you. There is something wrong with negative behavior. So it's like pro-social behavior doesn't mean extroverted. Pro-social behavior means that it benefits the group. Antisocial means that it is a threat. It is a threat or incredible negative action against the group. So it's like if you have somebody like that, like somebody who's like a little bit predatory, you got to cut that shit even if you're open-minded. And that's how you can kind of tell the people who are into the aesthetics of things versus the people who are actually interested in the philosophy behind it. Is that the people who want credit for like, it's like, oh no, I think people should be comfortable talking about things, and who also like defend people who are rapey are like, it's like they're more interested in the aesthetic of looking like a good person than they are in doing the work to make sure that people feel comfortable. That's just how that works. It's unfortunate that people want to pretend like that, but they do. And I think the best experience is trial by fire, where it's like my best recommendation for young people, specifically, so if I can relate to you and if you can relate to me, I was very poorly socialized as a child. I was very poorly socialized as a child. I was raised by despicable and disgusting people. And so while people wanted to interact with me, nobody wanted to interact with my family. So the only experience that I really got with people was alone. And that got better throughout my life. But as a 2-year-old, it's a little awkward. My point being that socialization is arguably the most important thing in life. You need to use language to communicate with other people. You don't need to understand English. You don't need to be right. You need to communicate with other people. So that means that you need to be able to get on the same page as them. That's a completely different game. It has nothing to do with logic, nothing to do with grammar, nothing to do with education. So I would just bring that up to say, learning how to communicate with people is a trial by fire situation. If you want to get into sailing, you have to get on a boat and talk to sailing. If you want to get into farming, you have to dig up some dirt and be useful to people who farm. If you want to get into reading, go hang out with some fucking nerds. All of these things are like, you have to learn the language of the community that you want to be a part of. And I understand that it might seem like there's no communities you want to be a part of, but I think that honestly comes from a place of being hurt. I think that you should give people the benefit of the doubt, and I think that you should give a community a chance before you write them off. There are many negative communities. Again, I'm pro-Christian culture because I think that there are a lot of Christians doing a great job, but at the same time, no, the church is the Antichrist. I don't trust any sort of organized religion. Are you fucking kidding me? No way. No way. So I'm not saying put your trust in the church. I'm just saying that, do the things that fulfill you. And have faith in the things that seem important to you. I would never want to take that away from people. And that's also another great community to learn how to talk through. It's like it is for some people. It is as simple as going to church. It's like if you're willing to accept God and to accept your community, and there's people around you that have similar interests, church might be a wonderful way for you to get involved in your interests. Like one of my close friends was a church guitarist, and that allowed him an income as an artist. He was doing his main medium, which was music, through the church. And that was a regular gig. That was his main way of supporting himself. So I think that the best thing that you can do is reach out to other people and be a part of the human experience and the human experiment. And that's the best piece of advice I could give to a young person, or generally just really anybody. Excuse me. But the reason is that communication is how you're going to get a relationship. It's how you're going to get a job. It's how you're going to get friends. It's how you're going to get a place to live. If people don't like talking to you, you're going to have a really shit life. So you just kind of have to invest in the charisma stat, which is funny because in video games it doesn't really matter, but in real life, most of it is a social bullshit thing. The presidency is literally a popularity contest. Life is a popularity contest. You are the most popular person, and then you get 2 fire nukes. So, yeah. Just don't feel afraid about communicating with people, and try it. Be willing to take risks. Be willing to look like a fucking idiot. That's the best piece of advice I can really give. We're not gonna do droughts, I've decided, because I don't feel like no, I will, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get claimed for this. Pretty sure I'm gonna get claimed for this again. But I think we did Stay Behind. We're gonna do All Together. I have permission from the band to play their music on my show on High Lit, so we're just going to let them. So that's 5. That's 5. That's 16. So we can leave it on there. And yeah, so I don't own this music. Droughts is a Chicago, Illinois emo band, and they're fucking fantastic. I love them to death. They're from Skeletal Lightning. I can't support that label enough. Their record's right over there. And yeah, dude, like big shouts out to the fucking crew. That's pretty. This shit look kind of spooky. How such an impoverished country looks so fucking pretty. Why? Why this giant fucking tentacle monster? This is such a gorgeous city. Why the oh fucking tentacle monster. Fucking ew. I'm like literally amazed and so pissed off at the same time. How did they let that happen? Just Okay. It's like the GM building, but worse. If they love it, dude. If they love it, that's fine. As long as they want it to happen. What does Kiev look like? So is like red houses normal people? Like from Kiev to Spain, does everybody who's like a working class have a red roof, and then like the royalty and like the religious have blue roofs? It's like a pattern I'm realizing. What the fuck is this? That's pretty. That's pretty. That's pretty. Those fucking roofs. This architecture is so fucking pretty, dude. So pretty. What the fuck? Seville's also gorgeous. So many of these cities are so fucking pretty. Okay. So it is working correctly. Oh, no. Here's my time management's off.
Isn't that such a rad photo, dude?
I want to get this tattooed. I don't know where, though, so I'll take any advice. You've been listening to Droughts with Highlight. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell button. Who even knows what the fuck that does? I'll be back Friday. Yeah. Fucking stay informed, stay beautiful, stay the best. See you soon.